What's going on, guys? I just got off of work. We are going to be taking the IS300 down to the shop today, but we're not going to be working on the IS300 today. We're going to be doing a little bit of work to the RX7. But before we do that, I'm going to take a quick drive down to Harbor Freight. I got some tools that I got to buy so that we can get them set up in the shop and start working on the RX7. So with that being said, let's get in the car. Let's get to Harbor Freight. We're looking for some suction cup vices today for the shop, because I think that I want to start building some cool stuff in there, and I don't actually want to drill a vise into my toolbox, so I'm just going to use some suction cup vices. Now I'm not really sure where they're going to be. Probably over here by the vise. Ooh, there's a little guy. So we'll grab two of these guys. All right, we are done with our quick trip to Harbor Freight. We got all the stuff that we needed. So I think I'm gonna get some stuff set up, do a little bit of work down there, and show you guys these little bench vices. I think they're gonna be really nice for what we're gonna be using them for. So we'll just hop in the whip, head on down to the shop. We'll be there in a jiffy. All right, we're back at the shop. You guys can see the RX7 sitting right over there, looking nice and pretty. But we're gonna set up these vices right here on my toolbox so that we can start doing some cool stuff. As you guys know, I blew an apex seal on this thing a little while ago, and it's been down ever since. So I officially have a full rebuild kit for it. I've got a few fun little things over here, but today I'm gonna be starting doing some side seal clearancing, because that's one of the things that we actually have to do. When we're rebuilding a 13B, we have to clearance the side seals to the rotors. It's pretty similar to measuring piston ring gap and then filing them down and making sure that the clearance is right. To do that, I got a nice little Dremel kit with a nice little stone. That's gonna be what we're gonna be using to clearance them out. And I'm actually gonna try to mount that Dremel in one of these little vices, because I don't feel like holding it while I try to mess with the seal. It's just gonna be a lot easier. So hopefully the vices work well. I'm thinking that they should just stick on this stainless steel surface of my toolbox pretty well. So let's go ahead and unbox these two little vices. See how they work. So these are actually quite a bit smaller than I thought they would be. They looked a lot bigger in the pictures, but when I saw it in Harbor Freight, I was slightly surprised. That's the whole thing. So basically, that little guy articulates just like that, and then we're able to just clamp them down to the surface. Oh my God, that's on there, dude. Like, that's ridiculous. And they just come off just normally. That's sick. That's gonna work. I think that's gonna work. As long as these can open wide enough to chuck up my Dremel in one of them, then I think it's gonna work. But that's not actually why I bought these necessarily. It's gonna be a nice feature, because I definitely don't want to just be holding a Dremel and doing that. It's not gonna give me any precision results. But in the future, these are gonna be super nice, because I'll be able to make some nice concentric twisted wiring harnesses. You know how much of a wiring nerd I am. So these are gonna be perfect for that. And honestly, I'm not mad about it. These things were like, I want to say they were like 20 bucks a piece at Harbor Freight, and like, that's not going anywhere. I'm sure once I tighten that down, it'll be a little bit better, but like, that's ridiculous. All right, guys, it's officially the moment of truth. I got my Dremel out, I got the vices out, and check that out. It fits, dude. It fits in there. So I got to tighten that guy down a little bit, but like, that's not going anywhere. So I'll put my stone on there to be able to grind all the seals out. But that's perfect. That's a good ass setup. So laid out on my toolbox, I've got my first rotor that I'm going to start working on. Basically today, we're going to be sizing the side seal. So on rotaries, unlike piston engines, instead of just having piston rings, we actually have 3 different seals that seal the compression. On the rotor, we have an apex seal. Everybody knows that one, that one's easy. We got the side seal that also seals compression, and then we've got the corner buttons. All 3 of those work together to make sure that the engine has good compression and that none of it is leaking into the oiling system. So our apex seals and corner buttons are pretty much set. You don't have to mess with those at all. But these side seals right here, they actually come longer than the slot, so we are gonna have to shave them down a little bit. As you guys can see, I've got my little suction cup vise set up from Harbor Freight. Those are actually pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty impressed with it. And then we've got our Dremel. So that little stone right there is gonna be what we're gonna be using to cut those seals down to the right length. And then we're gonna be using, of course, a nice feeler gauge to make sure that we have the right tolerances. So with that being said, I'm gonna get into it. I'm just gonna start cutting seals and seeing what we can do. Basically, I'm going to have to mark all of them to a specific side. So of course we're going to have 3 faces. I'm going to do gear side and then non-gear side, and that is going to tell me where every specific seal goes. Just like piston rings, you can't size them all for the same thing. You have to size them exactly for the spot that they're going to be going in. So I'm going to make sure to label them and get them all separated to make sure that I have them in the right order when assembly time comes. That seal comes a little bit longer, so it's not actually able to fit all the way into the groove. I cut that seal down enough to where it will fit in the slot and butt up against both of the corner buttons. However, this is a little too tight a clearance because it's pretty much touching on both sides. We don't want that. We want a little bit of clearance to make sure that when this thermally expands, the seal doesn't get stuck. So I'm going to take off a little bit more of that, and we're going to measure it with a feeler gauge. Right, so I officially have the first face of seals completely cut down to size. You can see they're all moving nice and freely. Each one of them has about 2 thousandths. Some of them have a little more, maybe like 3 thousandths, but the spec is 2 to 4 thousandths. So I'm completely fine with where they're at. I'm gonna go ahead and separate those, make sure that they're all marked and labeled so that they get put back in the right place. Then I'm gonna continue cutting seals. This is gonna be a pretty long, tedious process. I won't make you guys watch it, but I'll come back to you guys when it's all done. All right, so it's another day. Today we are actually coming back to do a little more clearancing of side seals, as you guys saw in the last couple clips. But before we do that, I'm gonna be going on a little bit of a tangent because the last time that I was here clearancing side seals, I posted it on my Instagram, and one of you guys actually messaged me and asked if I had a 3D printer, which I just happen to have. And this man just out of the blue sent me a clearancing jig for side seals that just goes right on the router bit for the Dremel. So that's gonna make this entire process a whole lot easier. So I'm gonna go upstairs, I'm gonna get that slice, I'm gonna get that printing, but before we do that, I just wanna give a massive shout out to Four Seal Will. He's the one that actually sent me the file for it. He's got a Miata that he's putting a 13B into, and he's rebuilding the entire thing, documenting the entire thing on TikTok and Instagram, so make sure to go give him a follow. Let's go upstairs, let's get this thing printed out, and let's see how much easier it makes the whole process. Right, that looks about right. Yeah, I'd say that's good. On the reel though, that took like a few hours to print this guy. But we got it all printed up. Let's go test fit it, see how it works. Right, so now this should just go in like that, and that fits very nicely. Cool. So it doesn't actually have anything to hold it in place. I think I'm just gonna zip tie it there and zip tie it there just to make sure that it stays in place. But let's check out how it fits a seal in there. As you guys can see, it gets the seal in there slightly off the center, and it's looking like it's landing pretty close to the same orientation that it's actually hitting these little corner buttons. So that'll help us get the angle right. So that's actually super nice. I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie this guy down. We'll see how much easier this all is. So we've got our jig completely zip tied in. It's nice and sturdy in there. It is a little bit wobbly, but I don't think there's going to be that many forces really put on this while we're cutting, so it's not a huge deal. Seal fits right in there. We can just feed it in and don't have to worry about it being square because this kind of takes care of that for us. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the last couple, and then probably going to be going home for the night. Pretty soon, we're going to be getting that engine together and get that thing back on the road. And I'm going to be happier than ever because I'll have two running and driving cars again. Which is, I have 5 cars, and one of them is able to drive, and it's that one. The rest of them are, I have no excuses. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, but we're working on it. We're working on it, all right? 2022 is the year that we're going to get projects done, all right? I swear. I swear we're going to be doing it. All right, so we're officially done clearancing side seals. As you guys can see, I've got all my seals laid out per rotor, and they're all marked, so I know exactly where they're going to be going when I go to assemble the entire thing. As you guys can see, I've got one mark up here to signify these are rotor 1. One mark down here to signify that they are the gear side. And then the marks on the other side will be face numbers. So I got 1, 2, and 3. So now I can go ahead and put away the Dremel. That tool worked okay. I did have a few issues with it, but I think that a few little design revisions and it'll be completely perfect. But now that I'm done with all that, it's getting a little late. It's pretty much a little past midnight and I've got to work at 7. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.